Okay, on to item number 1.
Number 1, proposed voting by district boundary maps. Recommendations, staff recommends that the city council receive public comments and provide directions to staff on the draft plans for the proposed boundaries of 5 voting districts.
Okay. Do we want to take those comments now? Because actually the council will come into the audience again.
As you know, this is the second public hearing that is part of this. And yeah, we thought we would go ahead and Mr. Johnson created 2 more maps based on the testimony that was provided at the last meeting. So then we have 5 maps to consider for district boundaries, and we thought we'd go ahead and have that discussion tonight and take places out in the audience where we can be a part of that discussion. And as we mentioned, this is the second. Our original schedule, we were planning on 3 public hearings. And this is the second one, and the thought there was that we would make a selection, if possible tonight, to bring back on the 3rd meeting, which would be the first meeting in March, first regular scheduled council meeting. So if possible, if, the desirable schedule would be to bring back a recommendation for that night that we could go ahead and start the ordinance process for those districts. And I'm going to go through all the items. We're pretty well schooled in what districts are and why we're here and what's been taking place. But yeah, if we can go forward and have that discussion tonight, and Mr. Johnson will lead us in the review.
So my question was just public comments. Am I doing it from here, or are you going to read them and Mr. Johnson's going to answer?
Do you want public comments now, or do you want to wait till after Mr. Johnson makes his presentation?
Yeah, we can do that. Okay.
And
We
we'll
will
just do
wait.
it. We'll just do it like last time. They'll come up here, and you all can go out in the audience. Did they go out in the audience first, or?
Yeah, we'll go out to the audience. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
My notes. There they are. Yeah. Okay, so the maps before you, A, B, and C are the same. They're the same as last week hearing. So those that were here last time, these are the same maps. They're not changed. Going through those 3 very quickly. Map A, which is on the screens, and good. You're in order. Impressive. So, and the first one next to me here, it is the closest to the district map that was adopted in 2009. We can't use that same map because that was based on 2000 census data, and this has to be based on 2010 census data. But it is very similar. You can see District 5 at the south end is on both sides of the freeway. It's kind of the south end of the city. District 4, in this case, is entirely in the southwest part. You'll see that'll rotate in the other maps. District 3 is really Windsong and west of the freeway. And District 2 is most of the eastern area, getting the farm, coming down the freeway, and going all the way up to the north and eastern sides of the city. And District 1 is the north part along the freeway, both sides, essentially north. It's Elsinore High School and the area north of that. I'm going fairly quickly because we went over this at the last hearing as well, but I'm happy to come back during the public comment and zoom in on details and anything like that. Switching to draft B. So in this case, you get much more of a kind of an east-west tendency to the districts. District 5 in the south is a little bit different. It's close to the same as in the first map. And then you can see the big change is that 2 and 3 have rotated in this case. And so they're really on top of each other rather than side by side. The other thing that happens here is the neighborhood around Wildomar Elementary. You can see that's where the 4 seats come together. Population-wise, that area is really the center of the city. So it's kind of impossible to avoid something coming together there. There's 2 ways of looking at that. One is that the neighborhood is obviously divided 4 ways. The other is that it'll have 4 council members that are coming to it and asking for votes. So some communities like to be divided, some like to be united, so they have the most say in 1 seat. It wasn't designed that way, but that's where the population numbers come together and makes it as compact as we can get it. Jump to revisit C. C, you can see, is definitely a significant difference. One of the things we always try to do is have a variety of maps. So I didn't want to have all the maps with District 5 kind of around the southern end of the city. So in this case, you can see District 5 is really the eastern end of the city. It's the farm, and then coming essentially due south to pick up the developments that are on the city edge there. So a very different configuration of 5. Because of that, you get a rotation of all the other seats. 2, it now straddles both sides of the freeway, from just northeast of Wildomar Elementary over to Reagan Elementary. 4, you can see I mentioned that it would rotate. In this case, it rotates and comes across the middle and the western part. It's a little bit odd shaped. You can see that bump where it comes across the freeway. And part of this is just the geography and the development patterns of the city. So those are 2 entire tracks. We're not dividing any developments or tracks in this map. But it does have a bit of an odd shape as we try to keep those tracks together and get to equal population numbers. And then you get, in this case, 3 is picking up the middle school and the far southwestern portion of the city, as opposed to 4 in the earlier maps. So the comments that came up at the last meeting mainly had to do with what I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's called the Ridge development, which is just east of Reagan Elementary. This area in here. And so there was a request to put those, since it's a fairly new development, it's close to the developments that are down on the southeastern corner of the city, there was a request to put that together with that area and just sort of look at ways that we might put that together. The challenge is that we have, I mentioned this a little bit at the last meeting, we have some odd shaped census blocks.
That's putting it nice.
Yes. So if you look at, let me highlight the census block here. The census block, and we have to follow census blocks because that's where our population numbers come from, and the law is we have to have essentially an equal number of people. So unfortunately, this census block goes all the way from the freeway to the middle of this development. So it's a big census block with lots of people. The other challenge is that we talked about among the criteria, there's lots of criteria. Keep communities of interest together, try to be compact, try to respect communities of interest. The other one is try to avoid pairing the council members because we want it to be up to the voters to decide whether council members get reelected, not up to where the lines go. And in this case, the census block has a council member in it. And moving that whole census block, which we'd have to do to put that whole development together in the southeast, would put 2 council members together, which we've done in many jurisdictions, but in this case there's an added twist, which is they're in different election years. And so the council would then have to vote on which one gets to run again and which one is off the council at the end of their current term. As I put it, nothing is more destructive to the productivity of a council than that situation. So it's not just the respect the will of the voters and let the voters decide who gets reelected, not me drawing lines. It's also don't throw a hand grenade in the middle of your council deliberations room. So there's lots of reasons for that. But the problem is because we have this giant census block, we want to avoid doing that, both for population reasons and for the reasons I just talked about. So D and E are options to partially do it, to get the part of the ridge that isn't in that one census block over there. It could certainly be that the folks who were talking about it last meeting wanted the whole thing moved. So it may be that neither one of these is a good option and we should just ditch them both, but I did want to put that out there. So the other piece and the difference between D and E is that there was a discussion about should the districts blend interests and neighborhoods from both sides of the freeway, which D does. You can see it's very similar to A, except that District 5 picks up the eastern part of that neighborhood, and as a result, District 2 shifts and gets the whole little neighborhood right around Wildomar Elementary added into it. So this keeps that 4 of the districts going across the freeway and putting neighborhoods and interests from both sides in those 4 districts. The other comment was that it may make sense to use the freeway as a border. It's a big, clear line. So the difference between D and E and me drawing them was trying to cross the freeway versus not cross the freeway. Obviously that has big impacts on how the map looks. So E is putting the eastern side of that ridge development in with the southeast, and then trying to follow the freeway as a border. And you get, as you can see, that map B I talked about being east-west seats. This you get kind of northwest to southeast districts. Clean lines, definitely. The other thing that this map does, though, is that it divides the farm. So as I mentioned for Wildomar Elementary, some areas like that. You know, they like having 2 council members or 4 council members responding to them. Some areas don't like that. And so I think it's good to throw this out there and see how the folks, I'm glad we have a couple of people from the farm here tonight, think about that and whether they like that or would rather be kept united so they have a louder voice in the one district that represents them. So it's a quick walkthrough again. Happy to zoom in on details to show exactly where these lines go. We can zoom in here. And as a reminder, these maps have all been added to the online system. It's a link from the city website, so you can go in and this lets you zoom in. And actually before the meeting we were flipping to the satellite view and looking at the different houses and types of housing in the areas. So that's a quick overview. Our main goal tonight is to hear from all of you. So hopefully you'll share your thoughts with us. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to start the public comments. And as last time, we're going to ask you to step over here to the mic, and I will let you know when your time is up. First up would be George Taylor.
George Taylor again, longtime resident of the farm. I wrote a letter to the council, and I'd like to just read the first part of it. I said, please know while I'm opposed to this action to change our method of voting from at large to a method by district, I understand the need to do so. I believe that it's better to have a city with local control rather than have no city with no control. To this end, I share your concerns. Not to be able to defend the city against this intimidation. If I have to choose, I will choose draft B. Draft B offers me the best representation because I live in an association and there are 2 other associations also in that same area. So they would have common concerns the same as I, and so therefore anybody that would be representative in there would understand what my concerns were. So B would be the best. If I have to choose the second one, it would be C, because the farm is the only one in it, except for that area right down there at the south. But the only problem with that is I don't know who lives down there, and there's kind of a big separation between down there and up there. So if I had a representative from the south, he may not understand what I need up in the north. That's the only thing there. I have to say that I'm violently opposed to which is the one that E. E is not a valid proposal in my estimation because it divides our city, our community right in half. And back in the late 1970s and the 80s, when Supervisor Abram was here, the supervisor district ran right down the middle of the farm on Harvest Way. Wow. So it became a situation up there between them and us. We were in one supervisory district on the west and one supervisory different one on the east. So we all had the same needs, and it created a big problem by dividing that community. I think that E is not definitely a representation I want to see. So at any rate, outside of that, I've listed several other items here which I'm not going to take up anybody's time with because I presented this already to the city clerk and it's already in the record. And it just lists all of the reasons why I'm opposed to doing this in the first place. So thank you very much.
Hey, George, can you clarify, are you violently opposed to item B or just
No,
adamant?
for the benefit of the police chief, I am not violent.
There we go.
I should have said vehemently.
There you go.
Sorry about that.
That's what you did say as far as
You can put the mic back up there,
Oh, yeah.
George.
Okay, our next speaker, and I would like to say, please leave the microphone on the stand, is John Lloyd.
Get up, John.
Oh, yeah. All right. Okay, move it.
Yeah, you can move it.
Yes.
Do the Elvis. back in the 60s, when I was a kid, there was a big push to desegregate everybody, where everybody would be blended and all neighborhoods were supposed to be the same. And it became very important to the whole country. And being raised that way, this whole process just seems completely backwards to me. It's like we're trying to go back to something that we tried very hard to fix before. That being said, even though we have this group of sharks that created this problem, that have gone out and attacked a lot of other cities, it's important enough to the Assembly and to the State Senate to keep this going, because they don't want to stop it. So if it's that important, then maybe we need to recognize it for what it is and try to accomplish that goal as best we can. And that goal would be to try to identify which one creates a scenario where our largest minority group actually has a majority. So they have a say in the process and possibly can vote someone in, if they so choose. If the whole goal of this is to make sure that our largest minority actually has the ability to gain representation through it, then whichever one provides that should be the best choice. And in looking through it, it looks like that one is C. C for District 1, sorry Ben, actually gives the minority a seven-point lead to where it's like 7 points over the Caucasian. So they have the ability on the overall population to achieve that. Now currently, they don't have that on voters. Registered voters, it's still upside down to where Caucasian is over Latino. But if you add in all the children, because they're not of voter age yet, once they do in 2 or 3 elections, then they would have the ability in that district to do it. Virtually none of the other districts have that capability on any of these charts. Get back up here. So, to me, the best option is C just for that reason. Because if we're doing this for the reason that they stated on the threatening letter, then we should try to focus on that and give them that capability in case they do want it.
Better learn Chinese.
The next speaker is Veronica Langworthy.
Hi, I'm Veronica Langworthy, resident of Wildomar. I'm coming out tonight because my husband and I have 5 children and we live here in Wildomar, and I'm not used to being over in this position. So I looked at the maps, and then I looked at the data sets and looked at the details, and what I discerned from that is that in 2012, in the presidential election, 68% of those registered to vote did vote. In 2014, a non-presidential election, 39% of those registered did vote. So 6,998 individuals presumed to be citizens who had the right to vote decided to not exercise that right. And I was just wondering on the data sets, why did the categories change labels from percent Hispanic, percent non-Hispanic white, percent non-Hispanic black, percent Asian American, to the labels of percent Latino, percent Asian surnamed, percent Filipino surnamed for registered voters? And then my other question on the data set was, why does the study label the category of voting age population tallying 18,748 when only American citizens can vote in our local, state, and federal elections? The data would indicate that there are 2,187 guests, non-U.S. citizens aged 18 or older or felons residing in our city. So I just thought that the data that was gathered, big question mark on that. And then could the consultant clarify why the numbers for the voter registration percentages are larger than the numbers for citizen voting age population in the census blocks for E3 and E5, D2 and D5, C2 and C5, B2, B5, and A3, A5. And then as far as the maps go, looking at the maps, Draft E looks like a wedge. It divides the city. It is not building community. At the last hearing when I did not speak, you mentioned that the city of Pasadena made Colorado Boulevard a feature that all districts went through because they wanted to unite the city around one pathway, and that's become the parade, the Rose Parade path. And so in Wildomar, our main path is not the freeway. Our main path is Palomar to Mission Trail. And looking at that as the unifying feature, Palomar to Mission Trail, Draft B is the one that brings our community together, where we go up Palomar and up Mission Trail, and that's our corridor and connector. So I am in support of Draft B. Thank you.
This is why no, it was because it was too top-heavy.
It keeps falling down.
Yeah, please leave the mic alone. Let's move it back where it was. Okay, Joseph Morabito's next.
I'm more of a pragmatist, so to talk about how it used to be, it's in the past. So, yeah, it would be great if we were one district, but at some point, no need to keep bringing that up. So, as far as the maps that are here, the two new ones didn't seem to do anything but go backward for me. But you might as well like get a dart out and kind of close your eyes. But my dart's going to head towards Draft A on that. I had a couple of thoughts on this. First is, as far as using the freeway as the line in comparison to Pasadena, as Veronica Langworthy had said, her idea about Palomar Mission Trail was correct, but I already had my little comment written about the freeway is not a good dividing line because it's not like a major boulevard where there's stuff going on it. There's frequently empty space on either side of the freeway, so I don't see that. And then just a question about planning commission and districts. I was talking to one of the councilmen of Menifee, and they have districts, and he said they don't use that district as a criteria, and that in his district they actually have 2 planning commissioners, which means one of them doesn't have one. But I think that it should be spoken about what we are going to do in Wildomar when it comes to how to appoint planning commissioner.
That's all the speakers I have, but I did get emails, and I'd like to enter those into the record. Joseph Morabito did send in an email for Draft A. William and Marianne Neely are preferring Draft A. Except for one small border line that is going down Cashew Street. This divides the neighborhood. Could it be redrawn to continue down Mission Trail to Palomar? George Taylor, he has already spoken, and I believe you said your preferences, correct?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Marcia Swanson, who is not here tonight, did email me and tell me that her preference is for map A. And then we have Sheila Erlob, sent me an email. She prefers in the following order. Draft B first, Draft A, Draft D. She does not feel Draft C and E are good for the city. Grace Morabito is here tonight. She does not wish to speak, but she is for Draft A. And that's all the emails that I have.
Just to answer the couple of good questions that were asked. It was along where they asked about the data, and happy to chat in more detail afterwards. But the category labels, it was sharp eye. She's talking about the spreadsheets that are posted on the city website for each map. And the labels change because the way the data is gathered changes. The the total population, voting age population, and citizen voting age population come from the Census Bureau. And they're a survey where they ask which ethnicity are you, and people mark their ethnicity. The registration and turnout data comes from the state, and they gather up the voter lists, and then they use surname lists to try to identify the ethnicity of the voters, which has problems, but it gets a ballpark figure. But the reason for the difference is there is a Spanish surname list with an adjustment that gets you a Latino number. There's an Asian surname list and a Filipino surname list, but there are no African American surname lists or white surname lists. So that's why those categories change, is because of how the data is gathered. The voting age population and citizen voting age population, in terms of that, it comes from, the voting age population figure comes from the census. We report it, as you somewhat hinted, it doesn't get a lot of attention anymore. Before the citizen voting age data was available, starting in 2000, we used to use the voting age number a lot more. But now we report it because people may want it, but it doesn't, you're right, it's not all that on point because citizen voting age population is better. And then, very sharp eye on the registration exceeds the number of eligible voters. This is, you're really getting in the weeds of the data. The citizen voting age population data is data that was collected from 2009 to 2013. So it's a count of about, it approximates where the city was in 2011. And the registration numbers are for 2014. So you're seeing the growth in those blocks or precincts or whatever it is between 2011 and 2014. So it's, this is what I go to conferences and spend hours discussing. Sharp eyes to spot those questions, and good questions. And then the question with the planning commission, that's up to the city council to decide how they want to do it, however they want to do it. The one thing with Menifee is I can't remember which way Menifee went. I think they now have an at-large mayor.
They do.
And so I suspect that the two planning commissioners from one district is the district council member's planning commissioner and the mayor's planning commissioner. They probably still have 5, but I'm guessing at that. But that's up to the council. They can assign it however they want.
So could we extrapolate from those numbers of the growth in the census from those that they said were voting age versus registration actually voted? Would those be like the areas of the city that are growing most rapidly? Could we make that assumption?
Not really, because it may just be that they're lower turn. One area could grow fast, but the folks haven't registered yet. Okay. One of the things we see in this is both, we all think about registration and turnout numbers in a statewide context of lower income, lower education levels, recent immigrants and Latinos register at lower numbers. But the other factor that you have to account for is new arrivals are slow to register, regardless of ethnicity. So when people first move in, many of them take a couple of years to pay attention to local elections. So you get a lot of factors.
Do you really feel?
Mr. Johnson, can I interrupt for just a second? We do have Marguerite on the phone again. So she may not be able to hear people out in the audience, so we're going to need people to get to microphones if you're going to ask questions, so she can hear.
Is it okay?
Well, you still have more questions to respond to, right?
No, that was all.
Okay, yes, sir.
Okay.
She's eating candy out of her.
Yeah, Marguerite, are you eating something? Because we're hearing noises.
No, I'm not eating something, but I have ear bobs in. I wonder if the cord is knocking and making a noise. Let me take them out.
Okay.
Yeah, hold on.
Yeah, click, click.
I couldn't figure out where it was coming from.
Okay, my question is, does the city of Wildomar, do you consider that the city of Wildomar does have communities of interest? When you show a blend throughout the city. And my interpretation of community of interest was somebody like Little Saigon or Little Italy. Those are very concentrated areas of minorities that may require special representation, but I don't see where we have a need for special representation. That's why I'm so opposed to this thing and taking away my rights.
Okay, I got the mic. So, by community of interest, I presume that the rest of you mean minority or protected class
Yeah.
concentration.
Yeah.
Yeah, there really isn't anything in Wildomar like we see in many jurisdictions that actually get lawsuits and especially federal lawsuits. As was mentioned, you do have different concentrations in different parts of the city. So you do see small differences among the different plans in the Latino percentage. But yeah, you don't have a barrio or a historically Latino neighborhood or anything like that.
But that was why the law was written, was it? To protect those people in those types of concentration.
So, I don't want to speculate about the authors of the bill and the attorneys, the goal of the people who are bringing these cases. There are some that are very much the traditional voting rights. We just did Merced, and it was a very classic. If the California law wasn't there, they would have gone after them with the federal law because it was a classic situation. In the city, as soon as they got the letter, they instantly agreed and switched. There are other jurisdictions like Wildomar where it's much less clear-cut whether there's really a true civil rights or voting rights issue. But there's other factors, as we talked about last year, driving these decisions.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Comments before we go back up?
I would like to say I did just check my email, and I did receive an email from Andy Morris, who is in favor of draft A.
Since we are supposed to try to get to one map tonight at least, do we all agree that we do not like E, so we can at least, that's off the table, we're down to 4?
Yeah, you put E in the trash first.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. There we go, we're down to 4.
So now, George, you don't need to get violent.
And since we're dealing with ballpark figures, I just know that one thing, they plump when you cook them, and they can definitely cook those bugs. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so is there any other that we can absolutely throw out and then go down to 3?
B, C, and D. I like A. I like A.
B, C, and D, okay.
There you got it. See, it took you a second. He's retired, that's why.
I too am leaning towards A, but we had mentioned last time the cashew, and would there be any way to change that? I know the census block, I understand that.
Well,
Go ahead.
one answer.
I think that's what it was, is the census block, you can't split that.
I know.
Oh, the notch?
The cashew, the going down the center.
You're talking about right here below the school?
No, up below Bundy Canyon.
Splitting the neighborhood there.
Oh, right,
Yeah.
right.
Almond, walnut.
Isn't that correct in another map?
Yes, but it kind of ripples through. Let me check. One of the things I try to do in the draft plans is to get them very close to balance, so that there's some flexibility. So let me look at the numbers here. But there are.
So,
It's the question which way it goes. If you try to put it all in 4, you'd be adding.
could we maybe solve it this way? I know in some of your balancing on most of these maps, usually one district has a little more versus the other district has a little less. So 4 and 3, which district has the least?
So 4 is short.
So I would say that we move the line over to where all that is in District 4. Would that leave that balanced, would be the question.
But where's the census block you showed us?
So move it to, can you move that line to Almond? Is there a census block there?
Yes. Let me check real quick. I have to flip into kind of line drawing mode.
Right.
Let me do that.
Get right into how we make the sausage here.
Yeah, it'll be pretty quick once I get it open. So as it stands now, 3 is over by 180 people, and 4 is under by 125. Where to move it?
It divides that chart.
So we can move that line over to Almond and come straight down and meet up at that T intersection there, if the census tracts allow for it.
Yeah, they do. there.
So move it to there.
There's C.
Yeah, so we could move just the part that's south of Walnut.
Yep.
Would be moving 257 people, and you're right, we'd be fine, because 4 would be over by 2%, and 3 would be under by 1.18. If you want to take it up Almond, let me see how much more. That, I'm kind of pushing it then, we get to over by 4.7, and under by 3.8, which is, it's not completely out of the range, it's getting a little closer to where we try to keep it 5% at the max.
Right.
So if we did the whole thing, you'd get a cleaner line, it'd be more compact, and it would unify the neighborhood. If we get just the development that's,
I don't think it would make much of a difference because the area north of that line is very, very different from what's in the line, in the box right now. So I would just say that
Right there, like
leave it
that.
right there.
yeah,
So I can't tell.
yes.
Like that.
Oh, like that, yeah. Mhm.
So that put it up, the whole development into District 4.
So I have a similar question over off of Pitt and Keith, where we had that neighborhood that wanted to be in the other district.
The ridge,
Could you do the same thing there, or would that throw that too far out of whack?
adjacent to Ring Elementary.
Well, this is the case where I could just look at the piece of it.
Just the half, right. If the half were to come in, how far would that throw it off? And I'm not sure which way it's balanced, so we might already be out of balance the wrong way, right?
Well, 5 is actually short,
Okay.
but 2 is short by even more.
Yeah.
So yeah, that involves 560 people. So then we're over by 7.86%, we're short by 11.5%.
So when you did,
Way more than we
you'd have to add the 2 somewhere else?
Yeah. Sure. That's, the challenge is you have these big spaces
Yeah.
between your population, and that's how we end up with essentially D. Let me bring D up over here.
Yeah, because if you take it from there, then you gotta go fix the other track. And it
Yeah.
snowballs.
Actually, this is worth considering. I forgot that this is what happened to D. So the way we rotate it around actually fixes another issue as well. So you may want to look at this. So if you divide, am I correct calling it the ridge? I don't know if it's
Yeah, I
right.
think so.
If you divide the ridge, the way to make it up is then over here by Wildomar Elementary, things shift.
Well, this is map D we're looking at now? We were looking at map A, really.
And map A, but D is drawn from A. It has the same base. So if we were to rotate around, oh, yeah, it takes a lot of rotating.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, two comes over, gets windsong, 3 goes around the top of it. And you get a lot of shifting around.
If we just stuck to map A, is there any way to fix that discrepancy in the population if we stuck with map A?
The only,
What if the line came down Palomar a little further of District 3?
yeah, the problem is that 2, we need to come over, and then we have one of these blocks. So let me highlight this a little more so you can see it better. Another one of these crazy blocks is right next to the freeway.
Yeah.
So for 2 to come over and pick up the population it needs,
A lot of that's empty. Look at that,
I know. So if 2 loses part of the ridge, it needs to come across the freeway to pick it up, and you get this crazy census block.
So is it,
causing all kinds of
so it's more that we need to expand 2 somewhere
yeah.
versus do we need to make 5 smaller? Making 5 smaller doesn't get us within the numbers?
You have to do both.
We have to do both.
Yeah, because 2 is short by 11%. And if you bring 2 down, well then you're dividing up these developments and you're causing the same problem you're fixing. Which is why I was focusing over here and trying to fix it, but you can't bring 2 across cleanly without a big mess. Unfortunately. Which is why in D I end up, that's how I started in D, but ended up just completely rotating 2 and 3, doing it more like B. Yeah, and this is one of the things that will fix for the 2020 census is they'll clean up a lot of these blocks now that you have developments and all that.
What is the block just south of, there's a neighborhood that's already sort of split off of Cat Road. And the line runs right through it, right, zoom in there on the right of the freeway, north of Cat Road. So yeah, go ahead and zoom in there. On the right-hand side there. Show the neighborhoods.
Oh, yeah.
What do those blocks look like? I'm guessing this is another weird block though.
Yeah, it is because, I'm not even sure it's built yet.
Oh, it is.
Oh, is it? Okay. It wasn't built at the time of the census. There's only 17 people in there.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
so hard, there's so many.
Yeah,
things.
exactly. This is the,
So even if we brought that over to the other side, it only changes it by 17, which we know is not true.
right, exactly. Yeah, this is one of those, it's 17 people. Oh, the registration numbers don't look like either.
So we have, when will we change the numbers again in 2020?
Well, to start the census in 2020, when will we have numbers we can work on?
Yeah, so they'll take the census count in 2020 and you'll get the data in 2021.
And we'll get new census blocks in 2021?
Yes, you'll get new census blocks, right, come
Correctly.
So then for the election in 2022, we'll be doing this kind of again, a mini version, but
Yes.
just sorting it out.
Right. And hopefully they'll fix it. In 2010, they ran out of money and they didn't fix any of the blocks. So they just went with the old blocks. So hopefully this will be a lot cleaner and you won't have these crazy issues. So the cashew area is easy to fix, as we looked at.
Okay.
The ridge is a lot more people and a lot more complicated. Same, oh, and I should say same thing with that notch that was talked about more last time. That unfortunately goes all the way down to Mexico. You know, let me look at one thing, because we put the people into 4, so I wonder if we can take them out. Let me see. Essentially get rid of the notch by going over. That gets us over to 5.4%, and 4 is way short. So that's why that notch is stuck there.
That's the A and just fix the caption. It's beautiful, beautiful thing.
Well, we can, see if you can still work on it between now and March 9th and,
No, we gotta get this figured out.
well, no, use A, but with maybe still some revision with just that ridge part, because you already fixed the cashew part.
But you're saying, I think he's saying there's no good way to fix the ridge part. There is no
Census.
fix there.
Yeah, I actually started with A and ended up at D to do the ridge.
Oh, okay.
And rotating it. So just so you can see, 2 and 3 are on the different sides of the freeway here, but you end up completely rotating them around, which you could do if you wanted to go that way,
And that's D?
but yeah.
That's this one.
I'm waiting for someone to say consensus.
Well,
Well, A, with the cashew fix, that's fine. That's what we wanted in the first place, right? When we talked about it.
Right, but we still wanted the part of that ridge
Yeah,
on
look-
it.
Yeah, but you can't do it unless you do something totally different, and then you're gonna mess with all the numbers right there. I like one district in the whole city, it's awesome.
So, run for other office and
There you go, fix that, Bill. Well, governor, I will, that's fine. I'll work on that.
well, we need someone at the federal to step up and pay for the census blocks, then we wouldn't have this issue. Yeah. All right, well, I just was hoping we could fix that other issue somehow. So A with the cashew fix, that seems like that's where we're gonna be at, huh?
Yeah, and then.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah, then the next time it comes up, we can readjust all that stuff later.
2022.
Yeah, we'll have a lot more people in there, so it'll probably fix itself.
So it'll fix itself when we can draw the boundaries correct with the census block data. So,
Yeah, and the other thing that'll happen in 2020 is you'll have to redraw them because like your 17-person census block will suddenly have whatever, 400 or 500 people in it.
at least.
Yeah, so you have to wait.
Yeah, at least. I know there's more than 14. I've knocked on more than 14 doors in the neighborhood.
Well, if you can figure out a way between now and March 9th
Okay, I can
to
certainly.
fix bridge. Otherwise, I think consensus is draft A with the cash sheet fixed, and if any way to still fix the bridge.
Can we look at one more block? There was someone that mentioned off of Lost Road and wanted to be a part of District 1.
Is it?
So that census up there, what would that do to the numbers?
So it's a little weird.
And just sort of head north from there.
So right now, District 1 already is overpopulated by 2.8%. So as we put these in, just that one block kicks it up to 4.3. This is the challenge of a small city, is that small changes make huge differences.
And yet we have the biggest blocks.
Yeah.
And nobody's there, just the coyotes.
Lost Road's there and the communities around it.
Yeah, so even just taking this piece, you get 190 people and it goes over by 5.78%.
So yeah, I saw on one map you had basically that, but then you brought the dividing line up to Bundy Canyon, which would then overpopulate 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Draft B.
Yeah, like it is on draft B.
Yeah, where you have this nice square one. And the big difference is, again, 2 and 3 rotate and both of them come across the freeway, as opposed to 2. In this map, they're divided by the freeway.
Right.
What was that concern about? That was the street that she was talking about, right?
Lost Road, there's the community up here, there's a few of them that pick my ear quite a bit, so they were asking if I was gonna be a part of their district. I said, well, not right now. So they asked.
It's the area we looked at last time where the developments are all in one, but the rural housing is in 2.
I have the email, if you want me to read it to you.
Yes, I was trying to find it, thank you.
I live in the Wildomar neighborhood known as Canyon View Estates. It's off of Lost Road on Navajo Springs and Crooked Arrow Drive. In review of the proposed city district maps, I would prefer map A and be included in District 1. I believe our newer custom home area would be better represented that way than being included in the area off Bundy Canyon known as the farm. And that was his concern.
So they're talking about this gray area here, the Crooked Arrow Drive.
Right.
That's the new tract up there. And it's true, the roads are off Lost Road, which then comes down into 1.
But then that's on draft B.
Yeah, and that's the one George Lakes, right? Yeah. The one he's not violently opposed to. Well, and draft B also fixes both the ridge development and the Cashew Street issue. When you come along Bundy Canyon, right now you have Bundy Canyon, the sort of a spear going into draft, or into B, or into 1, like where Mission and Cordon come together. Is there a census block that shoots straight across, so Bundy just sort of wherever Bundy would normally end up? So if you go back to B, or can we do that?
Yeah.
We can. We're messing up all your pretty maps here.
No, it's good.
Now, if you go the other way down Bundy towards the dairy area, you don't know where the dairy's at. Okay.
Where
So
the airport is.
Yeah, if that line were to, is there a census tract that would make sense to just run that line straight across so everybody just knows Bundy's the divider there, or?
Does Bundy go through, I think?
No, it doesn't. There's potential that, there's been different plans, some have shown it going through, some haven't, and
Oh.
I just was curious what that track looked like, that's what.
Yeah, actually, it's something to plead with a lot, so like this, so,
There's
yeah.
probably
that-
no population there at all, right?
Right, it's only 17 people.
Yeah.
And a lot of cows.
Yeah.
That goes down to, what is it, Garden Road? If you guys,
Cows are people too, Debbie, really? No. They don't count on the census, sorry.
Well, there's 2 pastures there, so which side are you taking?
yeah. So yeah, in any map, you could pick that one block up and put it
Yeah.
with one or not.
I don't know, I'm sort of torn. I mean, I initially came into this really liking map A, but B fixes all those issues. B gives us, or I say us, me and Bridget, a dividing line where, of Bundy Canyon that's easy for people to recognize. As opposed to taking the high school into District 1. I never thought that really made too much sense other than just giving a school to District 1. I don't think that's a qualifier to me that makes much difference, so. I don't know, but then it totally changes the feel for 2 and 3.
Yeah, I'd have to be with the farm. They don't even like me. No, I'm just kidding.
You're getting older.
I definitely would.
Well, our demography has changed.
Yeah, they've got the younger up there. Tim would blend right in. No.
That's right, my sister-in-law lives living there.
I mean, I don't know, to me, this map seems to make more sense to me, just because you get that natural dividing line of Bundy. You fix the ridge, you fix the Cashew Street issue, and then you have everything meeting down in what a lot of us have talked about, and what we even looked at on our plan for downtown. What we found to be our downtown area was right there where that's coming together, and we would all be wanting to see that move forward, at least those 4 districts. I don't know where I'd be, but so that's, I sort of get that idea of bringing all those districts together in an area that we all want to see develop and grow and turn into our downtown area. I don't know, I guess I'm sort of in support of B at this point.
Bob would have to come underneath the freeway to visit, though.
Well, we can, do a tunnel, I don't
It's a
know.
long drive, huh, Bob?
No, they can't ride a horse.
You horse and buggy wouldn't make it.
What do you say, Bridget?
Oh, okay, then I was leaning towards A, but if everyone wants to
So we're
go
down to A
B.
and B.
Yeah, we're definitely
Okay,
down A and
good.
B in my mind. A with the Cashew change and B with this little notch change in my, where so we keep Bundy as the line.
I mean, mine doesn't change that much, so either one.
I was gonna have you fix 4 to cut through my house and give you all the Hispanics on the other end of my house. I'm so outnumbered, I don't even know where to live anymore.
When I was looking at draft A though, actually, those statistics that was mentioned earlier, actually my district had the highest population.
Yeah, so the numbers, the public speaker was citing was the total population numbers,
Yeah.
as opposed to the citizen voting age population numbers, which the biggest district changes depending on which of those sets you look at.
I don't know.
This also gets rid of that notch, if we go with the.
It's really you two. You're the ones that changed
We'll
the
wait until
most.
Mom hears about it.
Well,
You and I don't change much.
right, other than changing it to Bundy.
Oh, I see, and Marcia,
Yeah,
she doesn't
you picked
change
up
much.
the-
It's you two. Yeah, I pick up the high school.
Yeah, the only real difference, and actually overlay the two. So you can see the Wildomar Elementary shifts from being one end of 4 to being the other end of 5. Then 5 loses the 17 people we talked about. And then So 4 is shifting kind of northwest and gives up the area right, including Wildomar Elementary, and picks up the high school. Not a huge change, either one of those.
So you think?
Well, we'll be four corners.
So we'll have to see how this, I don't know how you make a decision on this kind of
It'll
thing.
be four corners. All districts will be right here.
We need the cashew adjustment regardless of what we do.
Well, yeah, either way we can do that, if we went with it.
Yeah, I think A. I still like A. I know Ma likes A, but she's not here.
That's right.
A would fix the cashew, would do that part of it.
What do you like, Bob?
I like A with the idea of fixing the cashew.
Turn your mic on, Bob, so that our teleconference audience.
Yeah, I'm preferring A
Yeah.
with the cashew adjustment.
All right, so let's look at A again with that cashew adjustment.
Have to sit there, yeah.
Yeah. We can go ahead and turn that corner back off. There's no reason to run that line now.
There you go.
So,
So we really do have to make the decision today, because otherwise it won't go to a vote next time with everybody knowing what's being voted on.
I can give a little clarification on that, and I know Marguerite's listening and she can chime in if I don't say something correctly, but if, and what I'm hearing from you, if it is your goal tonight to select a map, and if it's map A with these minor changes, the next step would be to take that map and attach it to an ordinance. And then at your next meeting on March 9th, we will have an ordinance with this one map, on one map only, attached. And it will be our third and final public hearing, where you can adopt that ordinance with that map. If you choose at the March meeting with the ordinance to make any changes to that map that comes before you, then we would have to have another hearing. You couldn't make changes at that meeting like we're doing tonight.
Remember, we're on a deadline.
But we can change the cashew thing today.
Exactly.
Have that come with an ordinance next time.
Exactly. And Mr. Johnson will go back and make the changes,
Got
he'll
it.
get us the final map with the changes that you want. That's the one that we will attach to the ordinance, that's the one that will be included in your agenda packet materials, and that's the one you can take action on at the next meeting.
So are we at the point of getting consensus or a vote or what?
I think we're still trying to figure out one part.
I'm just trying to see if there's any other way to get everybody where, you know, we're all on the same page, because I'm just looking at A, trying to see if there's any way to fix that. Could we take a 10-minute recess and just sort of discuss, or not discuss up here anymore, obviously, but just to, so I can
Sure.
take a second?
It's 8:10 now, we will come back at 8:20.
And George's comments about B, where it came across the freeway and picked up a couple other neighborhoods that he was like that about B. I incorporated that, along with moving us back to the Bundy Canyon line for one, which lets me pick up Lost Road. And then we're still keeping the ridge split so that we can honor that ask that's been asked a couple times. This also fixes the notch down near 3, and notice that now we're able to put in enough people back into 5 over there, or go the other way, I think we did, right? So that notch is gone. So take a look at this map. Can we make that any bigger, or?
I said you get that north now.
Can we stand up?
Yeah, go ahead and stand up.
Okay, because I can't see from there.
Oh, I see, let me make it a little bigger.
Well, can you make that full screen, or not?
Oh, I see.
There you go. There we go.
giving up the area above Walnut Street.
That's a weird
Um,
Can you zoom back out just a little so we can,
Yeah, let me make the street.
maybe, I don't know if you need the
Oh, I can see that.
bar on the left, if that'll come up, I don't know.
No, not like that. So 3 gets brown middle, no, 3.
We're sort of combining a little bit of A and a little bit of B here, and it's balanced. This isn't, I mean, if I could get around the balance thing, this isn't exactly what I want to come up with, but this does balance.
Yeah, so as mentioned, you get the ridge areas divided.
Oh, you're in.
And the way we go around that giant census block I showed you that has 1,000 people in it, by going north of it. The reason for this triangle is this is all one census block that wraps around here. You come up there, and so north of Walnut, including Elsinore High, goes into 2. 4 comes up Almond to Bundy Canyon, picks up a little more population, and thus 5 comes over another block. So that notch, we extend 5 so that it picks up the blocks on either side of that notch to get rid of the notch. And the key thing is 3 picks up the elementary school and the letter right below it. So we're not dividing any development. So the development right next to Wildomar Elementary, the whole thing.
Yeah, what it does,
So
because.
that split up there, again, you know, that neighborhood asked to be a part of 5. And to me, it makes some sense to go and bring in as much as we can now, and then when they fix the census block, fix the rest of it.
Kathy Bundy's home. Kathy Bundy goes into 3.
So,
That's more rural for you, Bob.
Yeah, well, rural is, I like that, but I just wonder
Or so
where I am.
Yeah.
Is every council member?
Yeah, no, you're still,
you're right there.
oh yeah, we didn't change the block where you're at.
Nothing changed, you just did a few things on the other side.
In fact, you pick up more rural stuff around Elsinore High School now.
Okay.
Yeah, essentially giving up the eastern half of that ridge development comes out of 2, and
Sort of.
in exchange, 2 comes across and gets Elsinore High, and the 2, I guess there's actually 3 small, very small developments right there.
So,
What are we calling this version?
that version.
AB, above.
I like A plus, who said that?
A plus, I like A plus.
Yeah.
Better than ABBA.
Yeah.
I promote A plus.
I see heads nodding in the audience, you can't say anything, but
You can always ask for a show of hands. A plus?
A plus?
wow.
Hey.
I guess you guys are in charge, awesome. What do you think, Bob?
Well, we can go with this.
I like it,
All right, there you go.
beautiful.
A plus it is.
We'll send it to Mom.
Thank you, Ben, for your hard work.
Oh,
So you have consensus?
Thank you for doing a great job, and, yeah, we need to vote.
Yeah, let's do.
I will make a motion
on
for-
this version.
Version A plus, which we will get out to the city website, I'm sure, as soon as possible for everyone to see. We're good.
No.
Well, you can't get on the website that quick, can you? All right. Oh, from
it
here.
won't be tonight, but hopefully tomorrow.
We understand that you're a busy man. How many other cities are you working on right now?
9?
I figured.
10?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've exchanged voicemails. Did we ever actually talk?
We did.
We did. Yeah, I just know he's busy because we keep exchanging voicemails. Is this census block anywhere? No?
Yeah,
Okay.
I actually did talk to Kevin Shankman, the attorney for Shankman Hughes, that sent the letter, and he wasn't entirely sure off the top of his head, but he thinks that the 9 cities I know of are the ones he sent letters to.
Oh.
He doesn't know the top of his head.
He wasn't sure. But-
You're gonna have San Juan Capistrano next.
Pardon me?
You're gonna have San Juan Capistrano next.
We're working on a letter of agreement right now, so, but they're actually in court, so they're not.
Yeah.
But actually, just 3 hours ago, Corona voted to start the districting process.
Yeah.
Oh, Corona.
Okay, so I second
Whoa,
that.
he was in the middle of your motion, why don't you repeat it?
Okay, my motion is for map A plus. Is the map we're looking at on the screen right now with all those details, and I think this is the best I could come up with everybody's in the room's ideas and thoughts, and there we go.
I second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries all ayes.
And do we need a motion on the March 9th? It was about make sure we know March 9th is the third and final hearing?
No, I mean, that's our schedule right now, so unless you want to change that.
No, I just want to make sure that.
So yeah, so this version of the map will come back to you on March 9th, attached to an ordinance for the third and final public hearing.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for coming out tonight. Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Always good to see you.
We are adjourned.
All right.